All right. So thank you and good morning to every one of you, wherever you're joining us from this morning. So I just want to say thank you. We have 48 of us here this morning. It's a Saturday. Saturday is usually when people relax with friends and family. For those that are married, with kids, you relax with your kids and your spouse. All right. So I do appreciate you taking out time, to be here with us today, to come and listen to us. I believe that you're that type of person that actually appreciate knowledge. So thank you. All right. So I have with me today few of my colleagues. I'm going to be introducing them later, particularly the gentleman that is going to be helping us out, teaching us all of the mysteries or demystifying all the mysteries behind infrastructure as a code. So some of you must have heard that lingo, perhaps maybe a few of you, you're already in the cloud, cloud architect, cloud engineer, you're already, doing maybe one or two things in that area in terms of your career. But B is going to be helping us out, showing us more of what that actually means. I'm going to bring B on later on in the webinar or in the training. My name is Wale Omolere. I am the convener of this program. I am the owner or the founder of Smart Learning. So Smart Learning is an IT training organization. We've been around in the last 8 years, but not, recently we've just, started going out, using our social media channel, to reach out to people that are interested in training. Okay, so let me quickly walk you through the agenda that we have for today. I'm going to be talking about us, where I'm going to be leading, introducing you to the lead trainer and a few of my colleagues that are here. We're going to talk about the training itself, where B is going to come on board, to tell us what he has for us this morning. We're going to be talking about career pathway, also what is next, then followed by, question and answer. So the question and answer is where you actually get the opportunity to ask us any questions. And those questions could be related to what you're going to be taught today, or, it might just be questions that you have around career into cybersecurity, careers into cloud. So we'll be more than happy to answer those questions if you have any. Where we're unable to answer your question, we'll just probably say we'll come back to you. All right, but we will try as much as possible to help answer some or most or all of your questions where it is possible. This is the topic that we're going to be covering today. We're going to be looking at the traditional IT and also the challenges that comes with it. For some of you that, you really want to get into, cloud engineering, we're going to be talking about infrastructure as code. We'll talk about the types of, infrastructure as code, which one to use and how to install Terraform, HCL Basic. We're also going to look at how you can update and destroy an infrastructure using Terraform providers and also defining input variables. So these are the topics that we're going to look at today from technical viewpoint. Then obviously your questions will follow after this. But before we get into the training of the day, get into what, why we're here. I understand that quite a number of people have come from different backgrounds. We haven't had the chance to actually, be asking you what you do at the moment, because it's just going to take, if we do that, we have 50 of us, it'll probably take a long time. In fact, we may not just get into the training. All right. But we assume that a lot of people have come from different backgrounds. Some of you here, you might be into cybersecurity. Maybe others, you are a database administrator. Some you are a network engineer. Maybe another is you're just a system or IT engineer. and you might have questions whilst you wanted to learn what this is all about, orchestrations in the cloud as it relates to automation. You might also have other questions that, oh, I'm a DBA, all right, how do I get into cloud, all right? I am a system engineer, what is the pathway to getting into cloud? Or I'm just a network engineer, I'm a Cisco guy, router guy, I do all sort of firewalling, what is the path for me? So I thought when I was speaking to BE earlier on, who's going to be training us today, so I thought that, it would just only make sense for us to quickly just look at, maybe for 10 minutes, I'm not going to really bore you, look at, the pathway into cloud engineering, as it were, or becoming a cloud architect. So I want to be able to show you wherever you are. I'm not saying I will be able to cover everything, but wherever you are, the paths that you can take that would hand you or that would help you get into cloud. So I will quickly flip the slide towards the end. Then I will bring the slide back up, to number 2 or number 3. Then I would hand over, the session to B, which is going to take us further in this section. All right. I hope that's fine with everybody. So let me quickly just take you. It's just going to be a quick flip towards the end. Just bear with us. We're going to be there. All right. Okay. So here I would like to talk to you. Excuse me. I would like to talk to you about the career pathway. I'm not going to take your time. In the next 10 minutes, I will be done, and if we have any questions around this area, B is going to come and, take us further. All right. So, oops. So if you're aspiring to become, I am going to do this. So if you're aspiring to become a cloud engineer, so if you look at this part, all right, ignore this one, is supposed to be X for xylophone, not X for extra, X for sugar. So there's a bit of error there. So if you're going to end up here, being a cloud engineer, please, if you focus on where my cursor is, all right, this is usually a part that you can take all the way to becoming a cloud engineer. So when I say you can take this part, it doesn't necessarily mean that it had to be from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and to 6. All right. It doesn't have to, follow in that logical order. All right. But everything that you're going to be learning, all right, in each of this part, the skills that you would need to become a cloud engineer, you would find it in each of this part. Some of you, you're already here, number 2. All right, you're skilled in programming. All right, you can script. As a matter of fact, you know a few languages. So as well, maybe you're a developer. All right, so you can be number 2. And you also have a bit of knowledge around cloud platform. So when I say cloud platform, I'm talking about the public cloud now. All right, so whether you already have a lot of certification or understanding around Azure, or GCP or AWS. So you could be here and here, but you're looking to get into or becoming a cloud engineer. So but there's a lot that you need to learn. And part of what we're going to be talking about today is cloud automation, which is a Terraform that B is going to be focusing on. So irrespective of where you are in your path, on your journey, all right, so you could have there's certain fundamental skill set that you need to have or know before you can get or become a cloud engineer. So B is going to be talking about that shortly again. So I just thought that I bring this up so that this would help us. So if you're not here at all, some of the things that B is going to be showing us, if you're not a cloud automation yet, there's just a lot that you could learn. At least you have to have knowledge of 1 or 2 or 3 of the platforms, the cloud platforms, AWS, GCP, or Azure, and some knowledge around containers as well. So this is a typical path that you can take to becoming a cloud engineer. All right. You could also become a cloud architect, or you're already, architecting a solution in the cloud. All right. So if you're not, and you're aspiring to become a cloud architect, this is another part that you can take. So number one is becoming first a system software engineer. So typical IT, someone that has understanding of various operating systems. All right. So the Linux, the Windows operating system, VMs and all sort of that. And all sort of Linux operating system flavors. So if you have that knowledge, then that's a good place to start for you. Scripting is another thing as well. Programming language. If you're going to end up becoming an architect, you have to pick some skills from here, and also networking. So if you're already a Cisco guy, or you understand LAN and WAN and routing, that would be quite instrumental, all right, to you becoming an architect. Then definitely another cloud platform. So Azure, GCP or AWS or any other private cloud, that would also be good for you becoming an architect. So wherever you are, like I said, some people might be here. All right. So does that mean that they have to learn a little bit of scripting, or have an understanding of system software? If you're here, definitely, I believe that you must have picked up one or two skills in each of this domain, before you become a network engineer. All right, so that's another part. All right, so I will skip this one because B is going to talk to us about it shortly. All right, so if you're an enterprise architect, so when I say enterprise architect, most of the architecturing that you do, so I'm talking about system architecturing now. So probably you focus more, on site. You're not doing a whole lot in the cloud. And again, you're aspiring to go into, becoming a cloud engineer. There's a path that you can take. You can either take these two parts. This part, becoming a cloud architect, and the other one becoming a public cloud solution architect as well. So you can become an SME in AWS, Google, and also Azure. Some of this, I'm sure that you're familiar with it. And the other bit as well, you could become an AWS solution architect, GCP cloud architect solution, and also Azure as well. And I think I have lastly this bit. So if you're a software developer, you have knowledge of different programming language. And again, so what is it for you in cloud? If you want to get into cloud as a career, then you might just be looking out, understanding how to develop, cloud native app. If you're a system administrator, there's a part for you. All right. Also in cloud, call it the cloud hubs. Be a database, individual. Say, for example, you understand Oracle. In cloud at the moment, I stand to be corrected. Not a lot around Oracle is used there. Rather, they use, maybe other cheaper solution like MongoDB. So there is a part of something for you. Also in the cloud. If you're a network engineer, all right, you can be involved in system design. You could also be involved in optimization and management. And lastly, if you're already a tester, you do quality assurance. All right, at the moment, the part that you can also take, to get into the cloud could be cloud automation or becoming a cloud automation engineer. So the whole point about, showing these various parts, if I take you a little bit back again, is the focus today is towards becoming cloud. It's towards becoming a cloud engineer, and the focus for B is pretty much around automation, showing us Terraform. But it's important that I communicate that to you, that irrespective of where you are at the moment, so whether you are a system engineer, whether you don't even have any idea at all, you're just starting off in your career, we would be able to help you. I said something earlier on where I talked about, what is next, and what is next is how we can actually help you to kickstart your career, to becoming, a cloud engineer, a cloud architect, or whatever that you want to be. And if cloud is not for you, to be honest, then maybe cybersecurity is, or other things, that we offer. But we're going to be talking about that pretty much towards the end of the training. So don't be afraid. It's important that I say that because we're just going to be showing us a whole lot of scripting and da. Don't be afraid. There is a part that you can get that you can use to get to the end destination, and that end destination is becoming a cloud engineer or becoming a cloud architect. So thank you. I will stop here and I would hand over to B. So B, if you fire up your slide, I will stop sharing now. Then I would introduce you. Then you can, start. B, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So I will stop sharing now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Kick off. Just bear with me in a few minutes. I think I've stopped sharing. Have you started sharing? Okay, I've stopped sharing. I'm gonna stop sharing now. All right. So that you be. So bring up the slide. The moment I see your slide, then I would do the quick intro.
Can you see my slide now?
All right. If you put it in the presentation mode, we still have this your black thingy.
Is it better now? Let me optimize. Let me see if we can optimize. Yep. It's all good now.
It just went black. We can't see. I can't see. Yeah. If you put it in the presentation mode.
Right. It's better now.
It's not in presentation mode. You have to put it in presentation mode. Just on the bottom.
Yeah, it's there. It's on presentation, but
it's not in the presentation mode yet.
How about
now? No. Are you? Yeah.
Hold on. Let me try again because I'm using two screens. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Screen one. All right. Share now. All right. How about
now? So I can see screen one. Yeah. Screen two is no. I can see you anyway. So if you go to from the start. If you go from the agenda, that's the one. Then go to the agenda.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. Then go to the next one, which is the topic. All right. Yeah, that's it. All right. So, guys, again, before we start, do you quickly want to turn on your video so that we can see your handsome face?
Is it on now?
I believe so. I can't see you. I think you've gone again. What happened?
Over now?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I believe everybody can see your face. So guys, again, thank you. So this is, if you can see this gentleman's video. So that is Akinbi Akidoyin. So Akinbi is a doctor. All right. Is doctor of letters. All right. So it's people that you call professor. All right. So he's a young boy. So Akinbi has over 7 years experience working in telecommunication, in the academia, consulting, financial services. Akin actually completed his PhD in the prestigious Imperial College, London, and has worked for numerous companies in the UK. He has been involved in various greenfield cloud migration projects, and I mean, he's an avid learner. He holds various cloud certifications. This guy is a bag of cloud certification, to be honest. Like, I can't keep track of most of the certification that he's got. It's not just only, doesn't just only have certification, but it's very, very knowledgeable. It's someone that I would consider, a guru when it comes to cloud computing. So some of those certifications are in the CKA and the CKAD. It will tell us what those badges actually mean. He also is also a member of a multi-tenanting working group of the upstream Kubernetes. B has done quite a number of work for Kubernetes. He's an evangelist. They usually invite him to speak. So he's a speaker with Kubernetes community, helping to develop and also to standardize, the multi-tenanting architecture within Kubernetes. In 2017, it was endorsed by the UK government as an exceptional talent in the digital technology space. So currently, Akinbi works for a financial service as a senior cloud architect, and he's been doing that in the last couple. I think he recently changed, job to move to a different financial services, and he's been doing, working with C-level managers, C-suite, helping them to architect their cloud environment and also to standardize it as well. So Akin can speak the technical language. You could also speak the business language as well. So Akin is well-rounded. You know what I mean? I haven't come from that background. So Akin, thank you for joining us today. And it's great to learn from everything that you have been taught or that you've learned in the last couple of years. And I'm hoping that we're going to have a great time this morning. So Akin.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Wali. Thank you for the introduction. Not much ado. We just think we are pressed of time, so we'll just quickly go through the slides, and hopefully you gain one or two things today. So the whole idea of this class is to whet your appetite towards infrastructure as a code, because there are a lot of jobs out there that you can get from this, and it's quite easy. It's not. Don't worry, it's not going to be too much scripting, And that's the whole idea of IAC, right? IAC is to move away from traditional scripting, where you have to, learn bash scripting and all the stuff. It's now moving to a new, a paradigm shift towards HCL. It's actually called configuration language. So configuration language are easier to read, they're easier to understand, and they are quite easier to use. They're user-friendly, it's more normal, just syntax learning and the like. So it's quite easy, don't worry. I would try to break everything down for you. So let's start with what's been the history right from traditional IT. Back then, right? If you've been in the IT space for a while, right? A business idea comes up, a business requirement, and you have business analysts talk to the business owners. And what are the requirements? They do the gathering. They talk to different stakeholders and try to see, how a template of requirements. And this requirement is passed on to a solution architect. Okay, a solution architect looks at this requirement and try to, come out with a design. Okay, a design to meet those requirements. And in this design, they start, looking at acquiring infrastructure, procuring, buying stuff, putting servers in place, and that involves, talking to feed engineers, talking to system administrators, talking to, the storage admin, talking to all sorts of, departments to actually make this happen. And this, from what it's quite slow and takes a lot of time to actually do all these things. You're talking about 6 to 1 year to even start up the server from the scratch, right? So that takes a lot of time, and it's expensive. You need to procure all this hardware based on the requirements. And the requirements can change. So requirements change over time. And you have to change the hardware, you have to go in management. Those things are they're cumbersome, they're complex, and it costs a lot of headache. And when they're deploying, it's quite slow, it's limited automation. There was automation back then too, there's scripting, but it's quite limited. And as you can know, it's prone to human error because of the complexity of what you're doing. And of course, there is wasted resources. You see server lying down there, no one is using it because the project has ended and server is just there, lying fallow. So, and there's a lot of inconsistency across all the platforms. All the codes are not repeatable. They're just new deployments, new code. So a lot of chaos. Okay. So now there's a paradigm shift now towards cloud computing. Okay, and that's what the cloud computing brings into the picture. Okay? It brings this, a self-service model. You don't need to procure, anything up front. So your capex is zero, capital expenditure, because the cloud, takes care of that. All you just need to take care is the operational, cost for your business, and a lot of, operational excellence, best practices can be put in place to actually, minimize cost and stuff. And in the cloud, you can automate stuff easily. Okay, and that actually brings down your costs, your overall costs. And it's less prone to human error, as you see as you start talking about infrastructure as a code. Now, the shift is towards cloud computing. You automate everything, you deploy, with the click of a button, you can deploy the whole environment. All those things you've been setting up for years, one click of a button, you deploy it. How cool is that? Very interesting. That's where, the shift has focused towards now. Okay, so there are two, general deployment can be divided into two, right? Infrastructure deployment and application deployment. Okay, we are going to focus more on infrastructure deployment today, because that forms the basis of the whole setup, right? Application deployment, then we'll talk about application automation, then we'll now go into Kubernetes and how containers, VM, all those evolution, but that's not for today, okay? Today's focus will be more on the infrastructure part of things, okay? So let's see.
Sorry to interject you there. If you can just make your voice a little bit audible. Yeah, if you can just, take the tone up a little bit, that would be great. Thank you.
All right. All right, let me clear my throat for that.
Yeah, I think it's thank you.
All right. Yeah, let's continue, please. So, right, as I've introduced the whole concept of infrastructure as a code. So what do we mean by this paradigm shift? So what we are saying is we don't want to manually provision infrastructure again. We want to, turn the whole infrastructure into code so we can actually manage them better. So we can, version them. So we can deploy, on different environments. So it's not restricted to particular environments. Okay. So there are, different organizations start coming out with, scripting language and how to do this. A lot of abstraction over the years. But these are the key ones that are actually in the industry today. You have Docker, you have Ansible, you have Terraform, you have Cloud Formation, Grants, Substack, Packer, and Puppet. So a lot of them, there are tons and loads of them. But the focus of this talk will be more on Terraform, and I'll tell you a reason why later. Okay. So we can classify. So see, this is how it was before, right? So you script, a lot of jargons there. You write all this bash scripting, shell scripting, then you deploy. Look at that left-hand side. It looks really intimidating, right? But that's scripting for you, right? It's a bit complex. So can we get a simpler language to actually help you understand what has been written on the left-hand side? Because by this is just saying you want to deploy an EC2 instance into an AWS environment. That's all the script is doing. But can we get something simpler and easily readable by humans? And that's why Terraform comes into place. It's quite easy to learn, it's easily readable, and it's work across all the cloud providers. It's not tied into a certain provider. Is cloud agnostic. That's the word for it, right? So you're not tied into a certain provider like CloudFormation is. So this is, we're moving from writing, scripting like that. So the left-hand side is Ansible, okay, and the right-hand side is HCL Terraform, okay. You can see which one is simpler. You can see the right-hand side is quite simple to use. Resource, you put the provider here, you put the name, then you just list everything you want to deploy, okay. But the left-hand side is still a bit, it's still, it's YAML file. It's a bit complicated there, but it's similar, provisioning. So these two things does the same thing. 3 lines, and these are many lines, 7 lines. Okay. So we are now looking at learning HCL because it's easy to use, right? And it's quite, it's cross-platform. I'm going to tell you all other things around infrastructure as a code. So the classification, we have a 3 broad classification of infrastructure as a code. So there's configuration management, there are tools for server templating, and there's provisioning tools. Okay, configuration management for name, to configure your server, a new patch is released, you want to update those patches and the likes. That's what configuration management is for. So for server templates, you want to create a server from scratch, you can template them using Docker, Packer and Vagrant. And usually that's usually used for your application deployment. But for provisioning too, that's for your infrastructure, your base infrastructure itself. You can use things like Terraform and CloudFormation. Okay. right? So for configuration tool, Ansible, Puppet, and sort stack, their version control too. You can send them to you can deposit them into a version control tool like Git, and you can do version control over them. They're idempotent. That's quite important feature of a configuration management tool. When you the idempotency state means that once you deploy a particular code, you can update the code. Okay, all the configuration management tool does is just to add the addition will just be added to the existing configuration. Take for instance, the state is A, and you add something on top of that, so A plus B. So the new state is the A plus B. So it leaves the A state and add the B state onto it. Okay, that's the idempotency. Okay, you can actually update the code. Okay, like we'll see the difference between that and what we have in server templating and provisioning now. So this also runs on version machine or Docker image. And the key thing here is immutability. So what does it mean to be immutable? Immutable means you can actually update, so you have to destroy and reproduce. Okay, so it's quite different. You need to understand the concept. So for these, we take servers as a disposable, resources. So we dispose of them and we recreate them. Okay, it's different from configuration. Configuration cannot update. You don't need to dispose them, just update it. But here, you have to destroy and recreate them. Same thing happens to your infrastructure as a code for your provisioning tool. They're actually immutable, same property. I can use to deploy server, database, network components, and they actually work across multiple providers. Okay, but this is actually true only for Terraform. Okay, for CloudFormation is tied into AWS, so it's AWS proprietary tool. So you can only use CloudFormation within AWS environment. Terraform can be used across AWS, GCP, Azure. They have tons of providers. You're going to see them later on in the slide. Okay. So the key thing is what tool to use. A lot of questions around. So what tools am I using? A lot of them. So what tool can we use? It depends on what you're doing. Are you, configuring the server? Are you updating the server? Are you, so you have to ask that question. What exactly do you want to achieve? Okay. If you're trying to build a baseline infrastructure, then you want to use a provisioning tool rather than provision management. But if you want to configure your patching, you want to configure your server, then you want to use things like Ansible and Puppet. Okay. Right. So let's kickstart the key thing we are here today to do, which is Terraform. So Terraform is infrastructure as code tool that actually allows you to build, change, and version infrastructure safely and efficiently. Those two words are quite important. Version your infrastructure safely and efficiently. So Terraform, like I said, work across multiple providers. It's not only restricted to certain providers. So you work across tons of providers. We're going to see later the list of them. Okay, these are example of providers. Can work across, Big IP, Cloudflare, DNS, Palo Alto. Some of you, if you're into IT, you should probably know about this, some of these providers. You can actually use Terraform to deploy infrastructure on all these particular providers. So it's quite interesting, and that's why industry-wide is being used across board. So most DevOps jobs you see ask you, do you know Terraform? Because Terraform can be used across all providers. So installing Terraform is quite easy. I've already installed it on my system, but I can just quickly show you. So basically, it's supported by all these operating systems, and I'm sure maybe 80% of people on this call probably are using a Windows system. So just go to the Terraform website, actually.com, scroll to where you have the Windows executable files, download it. Okay, once you download, just put it on your C drive. Okay, so what I've done here is to download it on my C drive. So Terraform is already here. So just download it and put everything here. Okay? This is the application. Okay. All right. Another thing you need to do is to make sure you add it to your environment variable. So you come to your environment variable. So you come to your environment variable here. Once you download it, you come here and you go to parts, edit. Should be somewhere here. So I have a lot of stuff going on here, but Terraform should be somewhere here. What's that? So you just come here and add it, okay? It's somewhere there, it's somewhere on the parts. So add Terraform to the parts. So that's why you get Terraform fully installed, okay? So if you, once you've done that, if you come to your command prompt, don't worry, it's quite easy, just to install. Once you install it, if you type Terraform here, you should be able to get things, popping up commands like this, right? And you can check the version and the likes, okay? It's quite easy. Just download the file, move it to your C drive, and add it to environment variable. Okay, it's quite easy. So let's go to the key thing here. So HCL, let's quickly understand HCL. Okay, HCL language. So this is how you write HCL. You start with the name resource, okay? Okay, and you put a provider name. Okay, then you put the name you want to call that. So this is AWS instance. Okay, so of course AWS, that's the provider name. Okay, and within the provider you want to deploy an instance. Okay, so the list of the provider for AWS is on HashiCorp website. Okay, and this is the name of the server. I just print it. This can be anything, right? It's just the name you actually assign, you are putting for the server. Okay, and these are arguments. Okay, so AMI is Amazon Machine Image. You want to specify the AMI to deploy and the type of the instance. Okay, this is for S3 bucket. This is a provider. Okay, you can see instance here has been replaced by S3 underscore bucket, but AWS remain the same, right? Okay, so this is the provider name. Probably this bucket is for the finance department. You put finance, then you put some argument there, the bucket name, and put some tags, and you put the description. And you see it's quite easy to use, it's quite easy to declare, right? It's not complicated. The same thing for IAM user, AWS, that's the key word there. The IAM underscore user, that's from the provider name. Then if this is an admin user, then you put the name and put description. So some of them are optional, some of them are things you have to put. Okay, like these two are definitely compulsory. You have to put a mandatory field because you want to deploy this. You want to know the type of the instance you want to deploy. The description, of course, could be optional. Okay. Right. So it's quite easy. There are three things that you can do to actually deploy your infrastructure, right? So you need to initialize in it. And you need to plan. I need to apply. I'm going to show you a few examples on my laptop. I'm not going to use AWS for this course because we have to start provisioning EC2 instances and the likes. But we can actually use a local provider. That's the good thing about HashiCorp. You can learn this by using the local provider. I'm going to show you later. So we don't need to use AWS. But if you come for our main course, we're definitely going to be using deploying the real life infrastructure for you. But for this purpose, we're going to stick to a local provider. Okay. So there are three things.
Quick one. So there are a few questions that is popping up there. So it's up to you whether you want to answer them on the as you go, or if not, maybe you want to come back to them later.
Yeah, I will come back to it, please.
Later. Okay, all right, that's fine.
Right, so you initialize, you plan, and you apply. Okay, so on the left-hand side, this first one is deploying an EC2 instance. Okay, so by the time you do all this, to deploy EC2 instance, S3 bucket, and this is for this block of code, deploy the S3 bucket, and this block of code deployed IAM instance, IAM user. Okay, so with this, you can deploy all this into your environment. but there are three key things you need to do, which are listed here. So, like I mentioned, so this is the block name, that's the resources. This is the provider. So local file, that's another name for another provider. Here in this example, we're using AWS, right? Now it's local file, which is a local provider. Okay, and that's what we'll be using for this course. The name pets is just the name. You can call it anything. Okay, and the file, you want to put this file into your local provider and this content of the file. So you want to create this file and put this into the particular file. Okay, it's just just local. For your when I mean local, it means the laptop you're actually working on now. Okay, so if you deploy this, it's to create a file on your laptop. I'm going to show you how that works now. Okay, so let's quickly run into the environment. So I have Atom installed here. So the first thing for you to do is to create a configuration directory. And I've done that. I've created a configuration directory under my documents. I've created this Terraform practice. Okay, so just create a configuration directory. Could be under anything. Okay, under any part. Okay, copy that part and make sure you're on that directory. I'm already there, but proceed into it and just confirm. Okay, I'm there. Okay, so once you create that configuration directory, make sure you're in there. Okay, let's see by saying okay, Terraform. Okay, right. So Terraform is there. Terraform working correctly. So the first thing to do, okay, in that configuration directory is to type Terraform init. Okay, I'm going to tell you what this does now. Okay, so what does Terraform init does? Initialization. So initialize providers. Okay, so it takes all the plugins and initialize them. But the path, which is Terraform practice, I already have some files in there. Okay, so these are the files on Terraform practice. Okay, I have a local.tf, I have a provider, I have init states. So it automatically generates these two for you. Terraform maintains the states of your infrastructure. That's one cool thing about Terraform. It maintains that state. So by the time you want to redeploy and you want to go back to a particular state, you can actually redeploy for you and actually backs it up. Okay, so there's Terraform states and there's a backup for it. So let's look at the local file. So local file here, lookup.tf has two resources that is creating for me. So it has this local file and random pets. Okay, so random is another provider. Okay, that I've actually used. I'm gonna recreate this so you can learn from scratch. So I'm going to maybe delete this. I'll create a new one. Excuse me, let's create a new one. Come here, a new file. I'll just say local new.tf. Okay. All right. So let's use this same resource block. Okay. Save it. So the issue here is we can have two local files on the same block. Yeah. So we have to create a new directory. Well, don't worry. Let me use this local.tf to explain to you, which I can change everything here. You can see how it's been redeployed. So basically, you have the current state here is that you have a local and a random provider being initialized. So by the time you run this first init, okay, it downloads all the available provider. Okay, all the provider is initialized. So the next thing to do is Terraform plan. Okay, right. So see what I say now. Local underscore file.pet is repeatable resource. So I have two resources that's been repeated here. So that's why. So let me just delete this one because I've already created it already. So trash. All right. So if you run Terraform plan again, to show you everything under that directory, what the plan, what the resource that's going to be deployed. Okay, so because I've already deployed it, it's saying no changes to the infrastructure. So infrastructure is up to date. So let's go back to that local, okay, and change something. Let's change the name. Okay, so say testing. Okay, that's the test. So we want to create the testing. The file name. So this test underscore pet.txt, and just say, okay, call it a different name. Let's say Terraform class or something, or, you know, it's a class.txt. Want to put there, welcome to my first Terraform class, something.
B.
Yes.
It's a bit strange. Your screen is a bit blurry. Is this the same for everybody?
Is it?
Yeah, everybody's saying blurry, blurry, blurry. Yeah. No, nobody seems, they can't make anything out of your screen. Is blurry.
Is it?
Yeah.
Screen. Okay.
The screen.
Cannot see. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me.
Everybody. I thought it was just me. But
so let me reshare it. So
yeah, if you can do. Can even see you more clearly now. We can see you more than we can see the screen.
How about
now? Yeah.
Is it better?
It's not just very.
Yeah, Zoom is a bit funny.
You think so?
What can we do? So on my right screen now, is it better? I've stopped sharing and reshared it.
Yeah. Still blurry. But
all right. So
yeah,
what
the characters are blurry and you can't even make anything out of it. That's the challenge.
Check your display settings. So let me
maybe you want to check your display setting. Somebody is saying check your display setting.
Right. So I'll move it to the other screen. Let me see.
Yeah, it might help.
Yeah, I'll move it to the other screen. Not change this. Okay. Sorry about that. 1 minute. Yeah, I'll share the other screen now. Screen 2.
I think this screen is better.
All right. Cool. Can you see my prompt?
We can see your prompt.
Right. Okay.
Hold on a minute.
Is it better?
Can you try write something on that prompt? Yeah, it's very tiny. It is very, very tiny.
How about now?
I think it's better now. Yeah, please leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just increased the resolution there. All right, cool. So this is the local file I have. Okay, so it's bigger now. Okay, so there are two resources there, right? So this is, we're using a local because I just want to deploy on my laptop, on my, on my local laptop. I called the name testing, and I called the file test, class to text, and I want to put this into that particular file name. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do here, and I'm actually generating a pet. Don't worry about this later. We'll talk about this later. Okay, so I just go here and just say Terraform init. Although, yeah, it's just best practice to always initialize because you might have a new stuff already deployed. So you can now say Terraform plan. Watch this, watch what this does now. So we try to plan. So Terraform plan helps you to check what new stuff you're actually trying to add to it. Oh, all right, sorry about that. I think I did. So that's the, you have to save, okay? You have to save those changes first, then apply Terraform plan. Okay, if you don't change, if you don't save, it's not going to detect those changes you've made to your configuration file. So can you see? So it's going to tell you what needs to be done here. So you're saying the plus sign is to create, the minus sign is to destroy. So you're saying that you're destroying that local, local file, the pet. You're creating a new one called local, that local provider .testing. And what's going on? You're creating a new file name there, okay, on this file permission here. Okay, so it's going to tell you 1 to be added, 0 to be changed, and 1 to be destroyed. Okay, that's the beauty about Terraform. Okay, it's going to destroy and recreate it. And that's the whole concept of immutability, right? Okay, so at this point, it's not creating anything. It's just telling you the plan, and that's why it's always very good to actually check what you're doing first before you not apply. So the last thing you have to do is Terraform apply. So you just if you apply it, so those three commands are the key thing here. So here it's going to prompt you that okay, this is what you're trying to do here. We are trying to create this testing, and we are destroying what existed before. Okay. Are you sure you want to continue? So you have to type yes. All right. So it's going to show you that apply completed. 1 resource has been added. 1 has been destroyed, and 0 has been changed. Okay. So let's go and see how this fared in the local system. So if I open my So what I did was just create, so local means your laptop itself, right? So if you go to C, okay, if you go see here, so you should be able to see it. So what's the name? The name of the file is called testing. So let's go and find testing. You should create testing here. Okay. So the file name is called class.txt. 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 Okay. So if you open it, you should see what I've written there. So welcome to Terraform class is there. Okay. So that's how you deploy. Just showing you on the local. Okay. Ideally in the real world, you're deploying to a different provider like AWS, GCP, and Azure. But when you come for our other classes, you're gonna have this hands-on where you create that in those other environments. So, but at least you've seen how it has created a file on your local directory. And your local directory has is quite limited in things it can do. So if I change this to just say, just play this, say how you doing, something like that. Let's change the text there. So what does Terraform do? Make sure you save anything you do. You have to save it. So if you go back to your prompt, okay, you don't need to initialize. You're still in the same working directory, right? So you just say Terraform. It's only a good practice to do Terraform plan first. Check those changes first. You can see we've removed that line. I want you to write a new stuff. So
B, just 1 minute. I just want to make sure that everybody's following. Is the size of the font and is it big enough for you guys? I just want a random yes, no, yes, no. Do you think?
So yeah, it said his size is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better.
Getting some. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Be sorry to interject it. Please go.
That's fine. That's fine. So what we're doing here is so we've changed that content. So what do we have? So if you do Terraform plan, it's saying, okay, the local text, that's the new resource required, and it's actually changing from welcome to my first Terraform class. It's changing to how are you doing? Okay, and like I said, it's going to destroy it and add a new one. That's immutability property. So, so if you come here, okay, back up and say Terraform, apply. Okay. You have to confirm it. Just say yes. Right. And say apply complete. One resource has been added and one has been destroyed. So if you go back to that folder, you should have a new stuff there. How are you doing? Okay. So that's how you destroy. Although we didn't destroy, right? We just change the content. Once you change the content, by default, Terraform will destroy that and recreate a new one. Okay, for you. But yeah, that's just a simple explanation of how you can deploy stuff on your local. Okay. So if you type but let's continue with the class first. There are other things I'm going to show you. All right. So it's as easy as that. Okay. So you can have multiple providers. So you can have multiple resources there, and you can stack them together. Okay. Where was I? All right. So we created our local files and we deployed it. So yeah, you can use that to create. Let me put this in presentation mode. Can you still see my screen? Guys, can you see my screen? Wally?
Yes, we can. Please go on.
Okay. So we can have multiple resources there. So you can have the instance, you can have the S3 bucket, you can have all those resources in one single file and deploy. Okay. Right. So what we did then was to initialize, then you plan, then you apply. Okay. And when we initialize, what happens? So you see that Terraform start installing those providers. So the providers you've listed on your Terraform file. So it checks local and start installing it. So if you have AWS here, it start installing AWS provider. Okay, but because we're using just local file, so that's why you see is installing just local file. And when you do plan, it starts telling you what will be added or what new infrastructure will be added, and it's going to list them. That okay, on the local file.pets, these are things that will be created. And the content, it shows the permission and every other thing. I'm going to show you that one will be added, 0 be changed, and 0 be destroyed. And you need to apply it. Once you apply it, it's added the infrastructure and the likes. Okay. Well, so you can do Terraform show. It shows you what has been added or what needs to be added. So if I do Terraform show here, okay. So it shows you that the local.tf file, these are things that is in there. So this is the name that I'm giving it testing, and that's the name I give the random one. So you're going to show you, okay, the content is this is the permission, this is the file permission. Okay. All right. These are the providers, examples of the providers that we can have. An industry, people use it for different purposes, AWS, Azure, GCP, and the like. So there's a comprehensive list of the resource types on HashiCorp website. You can use it to deploy, servers, DynamoDB, all sorts of things, really. And a lot of argument that you can use. Okay, the instance type, the description layer, depending on the infrastructure you're trying to, deploy. So updating and destroying infrastructure. So we've done this and in our practice here. So we can go here and try to update our, let's try to update the permission. Okay. So if we try to update the permission here, and we just add, so this is the argument, okay, file permission. Don't worry, all these arguments are listed on HashiCorp website. You go to HashiCorp website, it's going to list all this for you. So these are generic words. So you can go here and say, okay, file underscore permission. Okay. Sorry, so 07, so 0700 is just saying the permission is just for the user. So if you change the permission to 0700. Okay, so there are a lot of things can be done here. So all that argument was for local file, they're quite limited arguments can have. Okay. Let me delete this resource so that you can just see the change here. So if you save this, we go here, let me clear the screen. It's a Terraform plan. You don't need to initialize again. Okay? We've already initialized, except if you're adding, so if you're adding a new resource here with a different provider, you need to initialize. But because it's the same provider, you don't need to initialize again. So what have I done here? So I've removed that random resource. So what does it do is to destroy it. And so one is been added, and 2 is been destroyed because we've removed all the random pets provider. Okay. So what needs to be done yet? So just Terraform, apply. Just a yes. So if you look at this, it's telling you that it is destroying that, it's removing that pet, that resource we removed, and just adding that new line there. Okay, so it's going to show you 2 has been destroyed and 1 has been added. Okay, so we've changed the file permission for that. It's the same file. So if you go back to your file here, let's get to see here. So tested was still there, right? Cool. So that's how to update. So you can update dates. You check it with Terraform client. It's going to show you what happens. Like, and yeah, apply. Right. Let's do Terraform destroy. Okay. See what happened now. So I want to destroy. Okay. Terraform destroy. What happens when you run this? You have to be very, very careful running this command. That's the command you have to be very careful while running, especially if you're in production environments. You want to run and destroy all your infrastructure. That you have to be very sure you want to destroy. Okay. What does this do? Let's see. Let's see the output. Right. So it's telling you that within that directory, you have a local file the testing, which is this guy, this one. Okay. So it takes this author names it. It takes the provider dot the name. Okay. So it's telling you here that, listen, you're destroying this, and it's going to destroy this Terraform will destroy all your managed structure as shown above. There is no undo. So once you say yes, that's it. It's destroyed. Okay, so you have to be very sure. That's why you always have this prompt there. Are you sure you want to destroy it? Say yes. Right. So one resource has been destroyed. Okay. So if you go back to a local file, let's see. C drive. What's the name of the file? Tests. That's it. It's empty, it's destroyed it. It's not there again. Yeah. So that's that's showing you how on the local file, there are a lot of there are more to these things than just what I'm showing you. Okay. I'm just using this to do an example on the local file. This could be a whole infrastructure of application. You have to be very careful. Okay. So that's the command that you need to be very careful to run. Usually, organization will tell you, will block. There's a way you can actually audit this and ensure that your DevOps doesn't run that command. Or there is a lot of boundaries on you want to destroy it, you have to seek approval, you have to key, you have to know a lot of things have to be in place. You have to justify why you want to destroy it. So people rather update than destroy it. It happens in test environment, right? If you're testing stuff, you're done testing, you want to tear down the infrastructure so that you don't incur any additional bills, so you can destroy the infrastructure using that. Right. Right. Configuration directory. So a configuration directory is just this is just an example of configuration directory. So the Terraform practice is a configuration directory. That is the directory I'm putting all my files, right? And that's why it's called a configuration directory. Okay. So you create it in a path you are comfortable with. Then you can now start creating those resources. So usually you create resources. You can use separate files to do that, right? You deploy to AWS S3 bucket. This could be S3 bucket. This could be EC2 instance. You create other DNS, IAM, you create different files for it. But is that actually sustainable? And so you can have thousands of files, each represents different resources. But can we do it in a smarter way? So to do it in a smarter way, why not move all those resources into one single main.tf file? Okay, so we call it main.tf file because it maintains all your resources into one particular file. Okay, so you can add as much as possible resources into this main.tf. Example, you can have main.tf, which is the main configuration. Then this can now point to other resources like variable. You're going to see this later. Variable, output, provider. These are the 4 key things you need to remember. Okay, variable. I'm going to show you why you need variable and how you can use variable. .tf file. The outputs just shown out all the output for configuration. Then provider. You can put the provider in a separate TF file. Okay. So using Terraform providers, these are the official ones you see on HashiCorp. They are verified providers from third parties. Okay, and they are community providers that people that actually use the website or the community actually can you create these providers and you link it up to HashiCorp, add it to their initialization registry, so you can actually have that added. So if you create a provider, if you create a cloud provider, then you can actually add it on the community, and HashiCorp will update it to their initialization step. So that allows you to deploy into that provider. Okay. So, like I said, initialization, it's initializes the providers in the file, and it versions it. Check the version. What versions does you have? You can actually check here and see, oh, you don't have the latest version or something, or you can, there's a version constraint step you can do. If it's version 2, some deployments will tell you certain version needs to be used. So you can actually, retrospectively deploy to previous version. That's another thing you can do. Quite interesting. For instance, this local file provider, HashiCorp has version 2 here. But if you want to use version 1, there's a way you can, on the code, specify that version you want to use. Okay. Okay. This is a typical example of TF. You have the local, you have the random. And if you go to the HashiCorp website, you have, let me show you guys if you Terraform registry, yes. Terraform.
Your entire screen is just blurry. I don't know what's going on.
Is this still blurry?
Yeah, even you're sharing Terraform with us, we can't really make anything out of it. It is really, really blurry. I don't know the way you've set your computer. Yeah, all of this is blurry.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was a little better when you were with the command prompt. Okay. It's a bit better now. What did you do now? What did you do?
So I took off the optimize for video clip. Okay. I think that probably that. Is it better now?
Yes.
All right. So this is,
if you can do me a favor, this one, if you can just go to the 3 ... on the far right hand side and just increase the size. Just zoom it out a little bit.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're talking. Yeah. It's a lot better.
All right. Can you see the website? So HashiCorp, this is HashiCorp website, right? These are the 3 ones that describe the official, the verified, community. So the big 3 ones are here. We have Kubernetes, Oracle, Alibaba. Okay. And so you can search for them here, up here. You can search for the provider here. So we've been using local, right? Local file. So it's under HashiCorp /local. Okay. So how do you use this provider? So this is it. So you can actually, force to use starting version. Just copy this into your code. You can check documentation and the likes. So let me use one cloud provider as an example. This is AWS. Okay. So this is how you use provider. They have this the version, latest version, and this is the source code. They have your documentation there. So there's a lot of modules there, right? So I'm going to talk to you about modules later, but you can check the documentation here. Okay. So resource, this is how you specify VPC. So the good thing is you have all the codes on this website, really. So all you just need to do is to understand how to use them. You don't need to write anything new, to be honest, because all the codes are here. All you just need to do is to copy them. This is a provider. Just copy this, and go and use it. You just need to change key things there and point to your own directory. Okay. That's how simple it is. You don't need to actually. These are all the resources you can actually configure. Okay. All the AWS resources are here. Okay. This is S3 bucket. It's quite so this is a resource. So AWS S3 access point, that's the resource name. So you have all the resource name here. Okay. So you click on one of them to show you. Okay. So just copy this. Okay, and go and use it. On partition bucket, you just need to change the variable, right? So you put the name you want to call it here. Does not create room for reusability. Yeah, so we're going to talk about variables. Okay, that's the next thing we're going to show for reusability. Okay? So I'm just trying to show you that all the templates are actually on this website. Okay, so all you just need to do is understand what you're trying to deploy. You check this code and remodify most of the code and use. Okay. Let me go back to the slides. Okay. Right. So for multiple providers, it checks your file. You have local file. You have random pets. So what it does is to initialize and get those two in place. Okay. So it checks. You have HashiCorps, random, and local. Those two, because those are the two you specify in your file. It initialize them. Okay. And you apply. Okay. So right. Someone just mentioned, hello? Yeah. So someone mentioned about reusability of code. Yeah. So the key thing here is you want to, as much as possible, reduce hard coding in your deployment. So you want to be able to reuse this code for multiple environments or multiple use cases. So you want to use things like variables to do that. Okay. So let me go back to the main TF file. Which is a local pet. So I've created this too. So if you look at the right hand side here, so the file name is this, okay? And the contents, this is what I'm putting inside that file, okay? And we have a prefix, we have a separator, and we have a length. Don't worry about the random pets, it's just one of the providers, and these are the arguments that you can have. So how can we template this? How can we template this such that we don't need to change anything on the main.tf? We just change things on the variable. So we need to move this out. All this content, we move it out into the variable. So how do we do this? Let me show you. So the next step is, okay, how do we move from here and use variables instead of changing stuff on the main.tf? Okay. So we'll move all the arguments. Okay. So you move all the arguments into a variable file. So we'll call this variable file name. Variable file name. Okay. Contents, which is another argument. Okay. So, but we have so you not specify default. So by default, this is what it should contain normally. Okay. So default, you move that content there. Default, you move that content there. You do the same thing for this one too, right? So by the time so how do you now reference this variable in here? Right. So you now use an argument called var. So var dot file name, var dot content. So this checks the variable.tf and picks the content, which is the default one, and puts in there. Okay, it's logical, right? So you're just trying to template and ensure that if you're changing the content of your file name, you don't change anything on the main.tf. You come to the variable and you change stuff here, okay, and it reflects immediately. Okay, so that's how you deal with variable. So you can reuse that main.tf as many times as possible, but all you just need to change is your variable. Okay, so you can create a new variable and call it file name, and change the default and do all sorts of things. Okay. So the same, yeah. So that's exactly So you had those two resources created. So exactly what I'm saying. So you can actually create and change. So by the time you want to change content, you change the content of your variable file. Right, you don't change anything in your main TF. Okay. So everything you want to change has to be in the variable file. Same thing there. So I just applied it. So here it's similar. Okay, this is AWS environments. So I'm trying to create a server called web server. So this is the provider. Okay, so I'll move everything here, my name, everything into a variable. So I have a variable called AMI. I have a variable called instance type. Okay, so by the time you want to deploy a new type of instance type, which is not T2 micro, or maybe medium or anything, maybe X3, X large or something. You want to change. You want to come here to change it. For a new environment, create a new name for it. Okay. And you want to change the AMI. You change everything here. You don't touch anything here. Okay. So you can add more resource in here, and you change the variable to deploy new environment. Right, so I think that's all we can do for today, to be honest, because I would have shown you the AWS environment, but that will come when you sign up for the course, and you can do a more deep dive classes. That is going to be hands-on. Everything's going to be hands-on. I've shown you a bit of hands-on today, but when you come for the main classes, we can sit together and do the deployments of architecture. I love architecture that deployed in the past. We can walk around templating those and deploying into AWS environments. Okay. All right. Sorry for the hiccups on my presentation, but I think I can take questions now.
All right then. So thank you, B, for that section. Again, I do apologize for the technical glitch that we have there. So what I'm going to do now is I would just stop recording, and I would open the floor for anybody. If you've got any questions, just ask us. There are no stupid questions, guys. No stupid questions whatsoever. Your questions might be related to career path, what this means for you as a project manager, what is the opportunity for business analyst, any question whatsoever. We'll be more than happy to take those questions. So let me stop recording now, and yeah, we can open the floor. I've got a few questions, B, if you do not mind. Sorry, I muted myself there. So there are a few questions there from Moyo and a few other people. Can you flip the control back to me if you do not?